both the North Indian states' demand and the South Indian states' demand cannot be solved together. So we must look for a different kind of solution. That is what is important here. Now, we can't change the population of this country. This is a fixed fact. And who is living where is something that nobody can change and nobody can touch. But what we can do is to change the boundaries of the states themselves so that equal numbers of people are living in each of these states. What this country really always consisted of was a large number of smaller domains. And as an example, I said, let's take 75 states. Now, these 75 states, this is an organic division. It is based on history, geography, culture, language, religion, economics, so many different things. And this is what has kept this Bharat as one unit for 5,000 years. It's a very, very stable setup. And so I described the 75 states idea, but it was more in the context of Bharat being a civilizational state as opposed to India, which was a nation state. See, we are facing a very, very wonderful and interesting period today in our history, because what was defined artificially by foreign powers as a nation state, we are now redefining this as a civilizational state ourselves, because we feel comfortable with this civilizational approach to life. Now suppose you have 75 small states. If you look at the delimitation book, you will find that each state roughly has a population of 2 crores. Now if you have a population of 2 crores, then each state will send about 12 members to the Lok Sabha. That's it. And each constituency will have the same number of voters. So there is no question of any delimitation problem itself. In fact, I am discussing with some people, there won't even be anything called South India or North India after this. There will only be 75 states, and all of us will be proud members of the same civilizational reality called Bharatavarsha. So this false and fake identity of I am from Karnataka, I am from Tamil Nadu, I am from Orissa, which is actually in most cases based on something silly called language, this will become a thing of the past. And I am not the first person to say this. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said this in 1955, and we have quoted extensively from his work. He foresaw all these problems, wrote a small book in 1955, talk about linguistic states. He came down very harshly and very strongly against this, and he says this is going to divide the country. And as I said, it is setting Indian against Indian. Now you have these equal states, there is no more delimitation issue. But this idea of linguistic states is a very recent one. And even smaller number of people will appreciate that the demand for a linguistic state came from, of all places, Odisha. Shortly after the First War of Independence, the British started giving out clerical government jobs, sarkari naukri. And that was the only way in which a person could be assured of a monthly income. The country was so poor at that time that getting a sarkari naukri was the only chance for most people to even keep body and soul together. Now, what the British then did was they declared things called official languages, because the administration of the place was run in that official language. So let us take their largest province, Bengal Presidency, which included today's West Bengal, today's Bangladesh, all of Assam and the northeast, and Bihar and Orissa. All this was one Bengal Presidency, and the official language of that presidency was Bengali. So if you knew Bengali, you could get a government job. If you don't know Bengali, you cannot get a government job. So you see, there is a demand of the people to have their languages designated as official languages. And this is how the cry for a separate linguistic state of Odisha began to be formed. It took them about 30-40 years, and finally in 1911 this linguistic state called Odisha was given. This then led to similar demands in other parts of the country. And this is what Ambedkar had in mind when he said that this linguistic state idea is a fake identity that has been given to us by the British. Now, in the case of Tamil Nadu, which now today if you talk about linguistic states, most people will associate only with Tamil Nadu. Now, the story of linguistic states in Tamil Nadu is closely linked to the movement called Dravidianism, and which claims that the people of that part of the country, today's Tamil Nadu, are actually very different from people in the rest of Bharat. And this is why there are many claims made there that they are not Sanatanis, they are not Bharatiyas, they have nothing to do with the rest of this land. And that is why the claims that they are a separate country. Let us not forget that the originator of some of these ideas, by the way, Dravidianism is very old, it is 400 years old. It started with an Italian priest called De Nobili, who came from Tuscany in Italy and set up shop in Tamil Nadu and started preaching to the people about the fact that they were different. This has the whole idea of colonization and so on, mental colonization. It started then. But the thing got an impetus and a movement with a man called E.V. Ramaswamy. Now, E.V. Ramaswamy was a staunch supporter of this Dravidian movement. And in fact, he even went as far to suggest, he met Muhammad Ali Jinnah and said that he wanted to join into Pakistan because he felt that he is not a part of Bharat. And in fact, his statements were so extreme that even Jinnah began to feel that E.V. Ramaswamy was crazy and asked him to go and get his own Dravidistan. He wanted to call it Dravidistan, by the way. So you see, the originators of the today's DMK idea and all are people whom most people of India would call anti-national. And so for them, the Tamil language is not about the language itself, it is their very identity. So without Tamil and without talking about Tamil, they cannot even have an ideological existence, and this is why their opposition to Hindi. If you travel and move around in Chennai today, you will find that half the people in Chennai understand Hindi quite well and speak Hindi very well. So that's not the problem. The fact is that they have taken this fake identity of Tamil and tried to carve out something for themselves, but the reality is that it is their economic enterprises that they have built up over 60-70 years of being in power that is now being threatened. And as a result, you see, it is now being artificially conflated with this delimitation.
With my immigration and the immigration officer मुझे कहते हैं कि कहाँ जा रहे हो? मैंने कहा दुबई. तो मैंने उनको अपना एमिरेट्स आईडी दिया एंड मेरे से कन्नड़ा में बात करने लगे. तो मैंने उन्हें कहा कि सॉरी सर नಮಗೆ कन्नड़ा बरಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿದೆ. भाई साहब कहने लगे कि कन्नड़ा में कि पासपोर्ट दिखा के कि तुम्हारा बर्थ प्लेस बैंगलोर है, हाँ तुम्हारे बाप का बर्थ प्लेस बैंगलोर है और तुम्हें कन्नड़ा नहीं आती. तो मैंने कहा कि मैं बैंगलोर में पैदा हूँ तो मुझे कन्नड़ा आना ज़रूरी है क्या? मैं दुनिया में कहीं भी ट्रैवल कर सकता हूँ. आई वॉज बॉर्न इन बैंगलोर बट आई कैन ट्रैवल एनीवेयर अब्रॉड. आई एम अ सऊदी चाइल्ड. मैं अपनी पूरी स्कूलिंग सऊदी में की है. तो मुझे कहता है कि अगर तुम्हें शहर में रह के कन्नड़ा नहीं आती तो मैं तुम्हें सस्पेक्ट कर सकता हूँ.
The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister cares not about delimitation and what it means and what it's supposed to signify. He sees this delimitation as a way in which the influence of Tamil Nadu in the Lok Sabha will come down, and therefore his political power and prestige, the very identity that has kept them in power for 100 years. Don't forget there was something called Justice Party which came before the DMK. So along with E.V. Ramaswamy, you had the Justice Party which openly talked in 1920 and so about going out there and killing Brahmins. So Brahmin hatred also became part of their ideological toolkit. So you can see the entire package, De Nobili, the missionaries, people like Caldwell and Pope, and then the Justice Party, killing Brahmins, reservations, and today Tamil language. All this is part of a very unholy concoction, which I think people in power, people who are Bharatiyas, who want this country to move forward, the only favorable factor about all this is that these secessionist and separationist movements never went beyond Tamil Nadu. No other part of this country subscribes to some of these unusual ideas. A very important aspect of having small states is the fact that it's not just 75 small states that are defined on the basis of history, geography, culture, language, etc. But these small states have more economic justification than the big states we have today. Let's take 4 examples which are described in the delimitation book. I call them 4 Ks because each state name begins with K. These are Kashmir in the north, Kutch in the west, Kongu in the south, and Kashi in the east. So now when I call them economic powerhouses, for instance, if you take Kashmir, the valley itself, which will be a state in itself, one of the small states. Now, floriculture, agriculture, growing of fruits, flowers is very, very important in Kashmir. There are 2 flowers, rose and lavender, which are extensively cultivated here. And they use these to make rose oil and lavender oil, which are high value intermediates in the perfumery business. Now, the country which has the leadership in the world today in this perfumery business of rose and lavender oil is Bulgaria. They have a similar climate to the Kashmir Valley, but they have got extremely advanced industrial methods of putting a value addition on that rose oil and lavender oil, and their oil sells for many times the value what the Kashmiri oil sells. Now, if Kashmir is made a small state and asked to simply concentrate on this, we can well capable of beating Bulgaria in 10 years. So, one small state of India will beat economically a whole country in Europe. A similar example can be given to Kutch. Kutch is a place, of course, as you know, in westernmost part of the country. Hardly any people live there, and most of the year it is quite bright and sunny. So Kutch could be the place which becomes the generator of solar energy for the whole of India. It could overtake a country like Israel, which is now a world leader in this field. So in the same way that Kashmir becomes richer than Bulgaria, Kutch will become richer than Israel. Then let us go south to Kongu. Now, Coimbatore or Kovai, as it is called, is the textile capital of India, especially in the satellite city of Tirupur, which is just outside Kovai. And this place has always been famous for the textile industry, and we could perhaps very easily beat Bangladesh in this segment right now. It used to be called Manchester of the East. Coimbatore was called the Manchester of the East because the textile business was so well developed in that particular place. Finally, I'll go to my 4th K, Kashi. Now, Kashi is the home of 2 important religions, Hinduism and Buddhism. Sarnath, which is just 16 kilometers from Banaras itself, is an important pilgrim center. Now, what I visualize Kashi is one of the bigger states in our formulation, and we have to create this Kashi. We have taken districts from the westernmost parts of Bihar and the easternmost parts of UP and made it into a large state called Kashi, which now has a population of about 5 crores. We felt that it is not proper to divide this Kashi anymore because all the people in this area speak Bhojpuri. So we have also used language when we need to. So sometimes language is an accurate marker, but it's not an ideological marker of that place which we call as Kashi. Now Kashi actually can become the Vatican city of India in terms of the money generating potential. So many people go to the Vatican city. It's an important tourist center, and the tourism economy of Vatican itself is huge. And this is something that can be done very, very easily. I think already some of the moves made by Prime Minister Modi to improve Varanasi, to improve Banaras, to improve Kashi are things in this line. Having a small compact state called Kashi with 6 crore people will make all these efforts that much more effective, because you don't have to worry about so many other things and simply concentrate on the one thing which you are good at doing. And each of these 75 states, because they are organic, because they are based on culture, because they are based on geography, history, climate, diet, this is the true identity of us Bharatiyas. So when we are in a place where we are able to express our true identity, we will do better in all the things we try. And that is why this becomes the mysterious X factor, a wonderful opportunity to sort out this problem. Slightly more educated class of people who are not likely to get swayed so easily by things like language. The chances of us moving forward with a rational and sensible solution are that much greater today.